Coming. We're going to get started. We're going to excuse Bill for hopefully just a minute. He's on another meeting, just in the room over, and he'll join us as soon as he gets done with that one. Just this morning on my way over, I just appreciate all of our county employees and other county officials that help us function as a county. They do all the work, and they do a great job, and I just want to recognize everybody in our county that does such a great job of making things go around here. Just really appreciate everybody that works for the county and just goes about their daily job. Just really appreciate it, so thank you. Got approval of minutes? Oh yeah, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's, I'll say a prayer, and then afterwards, Vicki, will you lead the Pledge of Allegiance? Our dear Father in heaven, we are thankful for this day. We're so thankful for the beautiful weather that we have outside this morning, and thankful to all our workers. We're grateful to be servants in our community, and grateful to make decisions that will hopefully bless the lives of our residents, and pray for us, for us. Make decisions this day that we will make those decisions that will be a blessing to everyone that they affect, and that we can continue to guide them over county in a way that blesses and helps the lives of those who reside here. I'm grateful for all that given to us in Jesus Christ's name.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we'll go to minutes. Vicki,
I have a couple of changes.
okay?
Right on the first page, on who was present. I think when you get down to the county sheriff's office, that might need to be Richard Jacobson.
Yes, I noticed that too.
And then an and in between two names there.
Yep.
Okay. Other than that, I didn't really see anything else.
Did anybody else have anything that needed changed?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from February 4th, 2025 with minor changes.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Discussion and possible approval of purchasing card for Lloyd Johnston, Cheryl Flynn, and Steve Mitchell. How are you, Jared?
I'm
Pat,
Pat,
sorry,
but
sorry,
I'm doing well.
Pat, sorry, Pat. Thanks.
That's all right.
Thanks, Jacob.
I know. The 2 minutes sit next to each other, that's all right. So I'm here on behalf of Director Mitchell, who had other obligations this morning. These are pretty standard. We have the agreements already signed from them, and I believe the request was going to be for $1,500 each. Cheryl Flynn and Lloyd Johnston are both for EMS. They're the new shed coordinators. Steve Mitchell is a sergeant with the sheriff's office.
He's new, right? Is he new, or is he?
He's been a sergeant for a while. We're just finally getting the paperwork done.
Okay.
Yeah.
What limits are you
I think what she said was $1,500
on all three of them?
on all three. If I
Okay.
do you know what we've had our sergeants at before?
I think 1,500.
1,500. Okay, yeah. So.
Okay.
I think that's a great thing. Sometime I need to meet Lloyd Johnson. I met Cheryl I've heard great things about them both. I know they're both going to do a great job. I don't know Steve Mitchell, but I'm sure he will also. And I think this is something we need to approve, so I'm going to make a motion that we approve purchasing cards for Lloyd Johnston, Cheryl Flynn, and Steve Mitchell in the amount of $1,500 each.
I second that motion.
Have first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Discussion possible approval of a purchasing card for Jim Giles.
I talked to Brandon Wingett, and he mentioned that Jim does quite a bit of mechanicking over here on this side of the county when he's not operating equipment, and that's why he'd like him to be able to purchase parts also.
So he's kind of like the Tyson
Yes,
over there?
yes.
Okay.
I know we gave Tyson $2,000 credit limit. That might be what Jim needs also.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve a purchasing card for Jim Giles for $2,000.
I second.
Have first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of IGP waivers.
We have 5 total, 2 are for volleyball, and $100, 3 for wrestling with the grant, for $116.
Okay, you've heard what they are. I move that we approve the IGP waivers.
I'll second that motion.
Have a first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Discussion possible approval of contract with Mountain Land Rehabilitation LLC.
Good morning, Lieutenant Jared Bennett with the Millard County Jail. So this is just a contract from the physical therapy company that's been coming in and providing physical therapy for one of our inmates who has suffered severe burns all over his body. This is just trying to get that in line. They've been coming in since December 12th, 5 days a week. So I'm just hoping to get this contract signed so we can get it back to them.
Did we have somebody different before?
No, we've not ever had to have a physical therapist come in before.
Okay.
Where these,
So they're coming in 5 days a week, just as, just one person they're seeing every day, or?
Yes, they have been coming in 5 days a week. I was informed this morning they're going to start coming in 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because he's progressed to the point they don't need him 5 days anymore.
Okay.
So if we had the contract before and just haven't used it,
We've never had the contract before. They were just coming in to provide those services while we're waiting to get the contract
how
signed.
much is the contract?
It's just $154 for evaluation.
Yeah, the price breakdowns are on the back. It
Yeah,
kind of depends on what they do.
$63 for activities, $57 for exercise.
Is that a visit?
Yeah.
So how much a visit then?
Again, it depends on what they do. I don't have the breakdowns of their visits, what they have done so far, but
Somewhere right around $60 a visit.
Does this have a date, an ending date? Is this for a year or?
It's as long as he's going to be in the jail, which we don't anticipate will exceed 5 or 6 months at this point. His criminal case has progressed to the point where it's probably going to be scheduled for trial within the next couple months.
Okay.
so does this group like specialize in burn patient therapy?
yeah, it's a physical therapy company, so they specialize in all types of physical therapy. And they're the only ones in the area.
I move that we approve the contract with Mountain Land Rehab LLC.
I'll second that motion.
Have a first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 At least, do you have the contract for them to sign, or?
It's
do they
right
have it?
here. I've got 2 of them.
Thank you.
Who wants it back? Ratification of commercial utility service agreement between Millard County Tourism and Fillmore City. We discussed this last week. It's for the billboard, or last time. Yeah, we just need to ratify it.
I'll make a motion that we ratify the commercial utility service agreement between Millard County Tourism and Fillmore City.
Second it. Who signs that? Then you need it back.
You seconded it, Bill?
I second, yeah.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Discussion possible awarding of mag chloride bids.
I talked to Brandon about this, and he had looked over the two bids, and he said they're both great companies, and so he said we may as well go with the cheaper one, even though it's only 99 cents a ton cheaper. Well, he was recommending that we go with the cheaper bid. Environmentals, let me find it.
That was one of them. I don't know if that was the cheapest. It might have been. Probably in the minutes.
Yeah,
somewhere.
I think here.
Find the minutes we opened the last time.
So what was, the road solutions was 110.95 per ton, and environmental services was for,
I make a motion that we accept the bid from Envirotech Services for the mag chloride.
I second.
No, first, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, discussion and possible approval of an agreement for third-party professional IT services.
Elise has it. So we've been in the process, as all of us are aware of, replacing our IT manager. So Richard Beckstrand is retiring. We've done interviews and gotten proposals from 4 different groups. We did assessments with the executive team, all auditing, and Elise, the attorney. And one of the recommendation that we're going to give is that we go with the Tech Legion group, and strictly on the fact that they were the cheapest. All of the services seem very comparable, their strengths and weaknesses to our needs with all of the groups, but they had the sufficient services that we were looking for, and they offered us the best price moving forward. So the contract will be a 1-year contract, just to see if it's going to be a good fit for us. And the values of the contract are in the statement of work that they gave us, and Elise has those, and we'll present that. But that would be our recommendation. We did have a recommendation from the group that we wanted a different group, but their pricing was almost double, and we just couldn't justify the service for the additional doubling of the price. And so that would be our recommendation, is to go ahead and award that proposal.
Jacob, is that contract, is it a total or is it a piece contract? So much per visit?
So we can do either.
Okay, so
We
what are you recommending?
We can do an hourly rate of buckets. Well, we're going to see what the first
where
few
we're at.
months look like, and we can change that as needed from month to month. So we can do a piecemeal on just hourly buckets, or just do an hourly rate. So we can buy a bucket for the month, and again, we've negotiated with this group that we'll be fluid on what those bucket hours are as we move forward. Obviously, in the beginning, it'll probably be a little more as we make that transition. But once it gets settled and established, and again, we are going to sign a 1-year contract just to make sure that it's a good fit for both groups.
So that contract will be that we use them, but we can make adjustments if we find we need more or less?
Yep, we can make
Like we
adjustments
don't-
for more or
we don't
less.
have to fill the contract if we need less, like, we find out that we can do more of that in-house, then we can do it in-house and
Yeah, and
make those adjustments.
And just operationally, so the idea is that Adam Britt would move into that IT manager's position. He'll do all of the on-site stuff that we need, you know, or what he can handle. Here's Richard, I don't know.
So Jacob, what,
Yeah, we're talking right now, Richard.
what's going to be different? What can we expect from them, any different than what we've, I mean,
Well, so obviously the hybrid, this is going to be a hybrid relationship, which we've never had before. We're going to have an on-site guy, but obviously Adam's also doing the GIS portion of it as well. And this group's going to be doing most of our networking, right, monitoring our security and stuff. And Richard probably can speak more to this than I can, just from the technical background. But I mean, it's going to be a change, just because Richard, for 40 years, has carried the entire burden, right? And he probably needs 3 or 4 guys effectively today to do what he's been doing alone, right? And so we just want to
well, a
obviously.
really good deal.
Yeah, we've had a great, I mean, Richard's offered a tremendous amount of value to the county. We're sad to see him go, but he'll feel bad from Hawaii. That's our joke with him. I don't even know if he likes Hawaii, but.
I'm going this Saturday.
So he's going this Saturday. He's not leaving this Saturday for good, I hope. You're coming
No.
back, I hope. Anyway, Richard, do you have anything that you want to add?
Which,
So
One or the
the Tech Legion group, just because the hours, so our proposal is the Tech Legion. They were half
Okay.
the price.
Okay.
So,
Which I'm going to interject really quick. It looks like under their proposal, they have most of the quantities specified. So if they talk about devices, et cetera, it does look like the county either needs to choose 60 monthly support hours or 70 monthly support hours, which is a difference of $600. And along with that, there is a term in their agreement that says if the county doesn't use up all the support hours, if they give notice to Tech Legion, they'll roll it over for 90 days. So just keep that in mind while you're considering. Do you have a recommendation on that?
the 60 hours is probably what we would recommend right now. But again, I talked to both their sales guy and whatever, right, and they're great to, once we figure out if 60 is too much, if 70 is too little, right, we can change that and adjust that. And then, of course, we would just write a new statement of work, right, with what that looked like. So.
and I would imagine, right at first going forward, it's going to take probably extra getting them up to speed and going on what we need done.
And that extra, so we can do an hourly rate after the bucket, right? That also we can determine what that looks like, but we really don't know at first how much we're going to need, right? And what that is going to entail, and so we're just going to have to be fluid with that until it settles in and we get a pretty consistent pattern of the amount of time it takes.
Right.
So a couple questions, where are they located at?
So their headquarters are out of Orem,
Okay, so they're.
so,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that their tech's going to service us out of Linden, but they have a full team, right? A full team of techs that.
You can probably answer this question, or Bonnie, what would be, obviously, we don't know the total, what's the anticipated total amount this would cost in a year?
It's going to be, well, on that contract, right, at 60 hours a month, it's going to be under $70,000 a year, depending on, now that's just for that 60-hour
There's lots
bucket,
of
right?
things.
And then there'll be other additional things, right, especially in the beginning, but we anticipate, we're talking probably roughly $70,000 a year, so.
Are you anticipating on bidding this out again at the end of 1 year? Or
Only if it doesn't work.
Okay.
Yeah, only if it's not being effective, so.
I see Adams walked in, do you have?
Any contributions?
Well, I mean, I think all are quite qualified to do this. I would feel comfortable with any of them, but in this case, it looked like the money talked.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll know after a year
yeah.
whether we made a mistake or not. And if we did, we can change it,
Yeah, totally. So,
do something different.
and,
Probably
and,
important to mark in our calendars the 30-day period that you have to give up for that.
yeah, so we have to give a 30-day notice in writing, right? If we want to change the statement of work or renegotiate that contract. And again, I think obviously they're interested in keeping us as a client, right? And
Maybe when they get us, they won't be.
well, they only have 1 year to satisfy us, right? And so, anyway, again, I'm with Adam. I felt comfortable with any of the groups, right? Richard and Adam, they sat in on all the interviews, did all the proposal assessments. And I think the consensus is that some of the groups had more strengths in some areas, some of them had more strengths in other areas, but that it came down to just the budgetary restraints and the advantage that we got for the value of the price. And so that really was the biggest determinant after we went through all of the services. That was our primary function, right, is can they provide the service that we do need? There was one group that didn't have the specialty that the sheriff's office needed. The other three groups were highly skilled, at least according to their resumes and according to the conversations that I had with groups that they were working with in Spillman and other areas that were really important for each of the specific offices. So, any other questions? Richard? Adam?
I think maybe after a year, you may be looking for a new IT GIS guy.
Yeah, that's right. See if Adam
Don't tell us that.
can carry the mustard. Anyway, thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
This is an electronic agreement, so if you move to approve it, Trevor, you'll just have to get an email and sign it online.
Okay.
And then right now, the Sandy.
If they don't, we can let them know.
Approval?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agreement for third-party professional IT services with the Tech Legion Group.
I second the motion.
Have first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, discussion and approval of an agreement with EFG Consulting for the benefit analysis of the Millard County Jail and EMS/ambulance. So one of the first questions I have, now Jacob, this might be for you. Do we have to do both assessments? Can we do one and see how it goes and then?
There's just a discount.
Yeah.
They're giving us a significant discount if we do both. We
Yeah.
don't have to do both, Bill, as far as, but I mean, they'll do it for whatever, right? But they'll charge us more money just
There was
for,
significant discount if they're here.
Well, that's $5,000, which I'm not, if we don't like it, we save $15,000 or $16,000
sure.
if we don't, maybe they do a great job, but
Yeah.
I feel like we don't necessarily need one for EMS and the ambulance.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something, they just were giving us a discount if we did both, and so, but we don't have to do both.
Yeah.
So-
Because I think to start off, the jail is the one we're most intrigued by.
Totally.
Maybe what the results would be. And Sheriff, I don't know, maybe you want the ambulance and EMS department done at the same time as well. I'm just, if we don't like it, I don't want to spend another $16,000 on doing it unless we really feel like
Totally.
we really want it. And I do feel like the jail is something that
Yeah, I think it's the
we are
priority.
very interested to see how that outcome would be there.
What is the assessment exactly? What's the scope and the purpose and the hope of all this? I'm not in the loop on this yet.
So.
I think that, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead, Bill.
I'll first make a comment. All of you know, all of you is privy to our relationship with IHC, what we've been trying to do, and trying to get them to participate. I appreciate they give us a small grant, which was helpful. We're also in negotiations or working on negotiations with IHC about the property. They own the property that our care center's on. I think for us to ignore that at some point in time, our hands are tied if we don't own the property. We are going to request that IHC basically gives us. So we got a couple negotiations here. I think if we do the ambulance, it gives us a reason. It'll show us specifically what we're having to contribute. I think it gives us some good numbers to give to them. I think we advance our negotiations with IHC on them contributing them to ambulance significantly if we have some statistics.
Sure.
And these are basically, it's no more than we're doing everywhere else. The last year, we did a lot. We're looking at the benefit of what this costs us. I think you don't have to go much farther than turn on the news to see what's happening. So is our responsibility is budget. And I think this commission wants to make sure, or at least be able to have in my mind, the benefit of what we're doing and make those, after we get that benefit, to make those adjustments if we need to make adjustments. I don't know if we do, but we don't have the figures to know. And so I think we need to proceed with both. I think they'll be beneficial for us, will mean a lot in the future as we have the responsibility to budget. So we know where we're at instead of throwing figures around. We know where we're really at and what we're doing. And I think by doing that, I think we show respect to our taxpayers. I think when we collect dollars and we don't manage those budgets, it shows a disrespect for our tax dollars. That is particularly mine and our responsibility.
So just operationally, right? I mean, one of our goals for 2025 is to get a 5 to 10-year financial plan in place. I think we all recognize that there's a lot of change happening at the tax base level in the county over the next 5 to 10 years. We need to know where we need to spend that money, where the best possible place for that money to go is. From a financial planning standpoint, which Bonnie's office is going to be heading this, right, is the cost benefit, where, if we do get an influx of tax base into here, where do we spend it? Where's the appropriate place for us to spend it? What needs it the most, right? And so from a cost benefit analysis, what we're hoping to accomplish from a long-term financial plan is to get hard objective numbers from a third-party group to say, yeah, absolutely, this is worth it, right? You do have the money available, the revenue is available, the financial plan over the next 5 years, it's going to expand and enlarge, so now would be the time to stand up a dedicated resource in the EMS. Also, is it an appropriate thing to look at a new jail? Are we making any money? Are we losing money, right? Which none of us have those hard numbers for. And so as far as our financial planning goes, we want to look at every revenue-based entity in the county so that we can make good long-term 5 to 10-year financial goals. And so from operational standpoint, that's what we're hoping to accomplish.
Let me give you a sidebar. I'm going to correct something you said about our finances in the future. And we have perceived, notice I was late, there is a bill on the Senate calendar now that creates a state energy committee. That state energy committee is going to take the tax differential from all the counties of any new energy development. It started out as nuclear. The state has expanded to any new energy. That literally, if that is, we're working on amendments, but if that is put in place, 70% of the tax dollars in this county will go to a committee in Salt Lake for them to determine whether we need it back, whether it needs to be revenue sharing. I'm adamantly opposed to that. So the way we look forward, we need to find out in our budget what we can do. We're anticipating with what's happening, and I think, in my opinion, I'll express my opinion, I think the state's seeing what's happening, and there's a lot of people out there that's thinking we're not sharing in this, and they want it. And if something like that happens, our budgets will be destitute. I'll tell you right now. Our county commandos, we will lose 70% of our revenues. Now, there's a way to get that back, but we have to go ask permission to get it back.
Sure.
I think that is totally contrary to the role of government. They're taking away our authority as counties.
Yeah.
So I think things like this help us. If something like that happened, I'm telling you what, we'd be in trouble.
Yeah, it just gives us objective
Just
data,
gives us
right? That we can make good decisions based
vision of
on.
what we're going, so we can go forward
Totally.
with the budget.
So I heard the parameters of studying EMS, but I haven't heard the parameters of why we're studying the
So
jail.
to be just straightforward and honest with you, you know the conversation, Sheriff, it is, Matt, and is is it worth housing the state prisoners, or is it not? Is it worth building a new jail? If it is, worth keeping the state inmates, or is it not? So I, personally, I think this is a great way, because I know your argument is, hey, it's worth it all day, every day. And I hope you're right, because if it is.
Well, I don't know that's completely accurate, but.
But it may not be completely accurate, but I know you fight a lot for the state inmates, help pay for our county inmates. And I think that's what this is for, when you want to talk about just the jail level, is, hey, is this actually worth us to continue to operate the way it is? And if it is it worth it to build a new jail? Because I know, everybody knows that our jail is in rough shape. So we're hoping that by doing this assessment, we find out if, what side of the fence we actually land on, other than just, well, we think we're here, or we think we're here. And that, just to be straightforward and honest with you, that is what this assessment is for. But like Jacob said, we're going to try and do this
For everybody. All the revenue stuff, yeah.
Try and figure out how we make adjustments, or what
Is,
we do.
is a third party going to come in and look at all of these, or is it just EMS and the jail?
No, we'll get a third party for,
Not all of them, but for the ones that we don't feel like we can reasonably do internally, yeah. So,
I think as a commissioner, it gives me some clarity, like you said, he said, been here 4 years, and it's all you said, he said. Now, let's get some clarity, and any valued assessment is going to have to be, for us to move forward, a third party, because we could actually do this, but nobody's going to believe the auditor. I could actually do it, nobody's going to believe me. So let's just get a third party and move forward and take those recommendations. They don't set ordinance or statute. We'll view those recommendations, and we throw them in the garbage can, just like we did the pay thing 2 or 3 years ago. We've done that before, but I would suggest, I would make a motion, we move forward with both
I
of them
just have a couple of questions.
and get it
for-
done, so.
So is this a pretty reputable company? Do you know how long they've been doing this and stuff?
yeah, I mean, it's a reputable company, right? They had a lot of good background to suggest that they were very competent in doing this. They gave references of other projects that they had done, and again, right? I mean, I think the crux is what's the available data, right? Let's make a decision based on good data,
Yeah.
right?
I just want to make sure
Yeah.
it's good data.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so, and I think, I think to Trevor's point, right, is that one of the reasons why I wanted to start with the jail is because we know that it's been on a list and off a list for 10 years, right? We know that it needs to be addressed. And, I mean, we just had a collapsed pipe over there, right? I mean, there's so many things that it needs to do, and we need to decide what is our priority? Where are we going to spend? If we do get additional money in, where are we going to spend it? What's the priority spend? If we don't get money in, what's the priority spend, right? I mean, I think this gives us the opportunity to address one of the most crucial, probably outdated buildings that we have. It's currently being housed, housing prisoners in it, right? Do we need to house them? And if we do we need a new building, right? And I think that objectively, this is going to tell us that information. And I don't see any downsides to it other than the cost of the third-party group. So, but I don't know if anybody internally is capable of doing this personally. Bill says that we maybe could. I just don't know if we have
not
the,
without having a bias.
Right.
Of some sort, because I think everybody in our county has a bias, either for or against it. So
Yeah,
to have
totally.
a biased professional opinion, we're better off having somebody else.
yeah, and that's my opinion as well. And so I think that this is a great business practice. I think it's a great long-term financial practice for us to do, is to get hard numbers so that we can make really good decisions based on those numbers, right? So,
And if I'm right, Bonnie, these are recommended by the company that does our
Right.
county auditing.
So I went to our student company and they recommended they would look at themselves and they refer us to this, this group.
so,
This isn't no different than any counties. There are counties that participate in these programs, and there are counties that don't. we need some, for me to be able to make decisions, I need some numbers so I know where to go.
Yeah, and I think cost benefit's the key word, right? Is what is the cost, what is the benefit? And let's let the numbers tell us hard objectively where we're at, and then we can make really good decisions based on that. So,
I'll make a motion that we approve both studies at this time.
I'll second it. I'm just a little skeptical, but I'll look at the numbers once they come in.
Have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Bonnie, have you heard from Brendan? Do we need a,
Yes, it's in there.
okay. Discussion and possible approval of Resolution 24-2-18, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County, Utah adopting a revised fee schedule for the swim team.
And just as a note for the minutes, it should be 25 for all of these resolutions. And that's how it's listed on the resolution.
Okay, sorry. Are we updating the majority of them, Bonnie, or is there just a couple we added?
It's just, we've got a whole new list with every fee, but I believe the only new fee is the swim team for the East Millard Pool. It's a little bit different. They run their program slightly different, so.
So, and what we're doing there is they're using a software because they're trying to schedule meets with other counties and other schools.
So what's the difference between when we are and what we're suggesting, I guess?
I think it's $5 or.
Okay.
The fee was actually not adopted for swim team in 2023. It was left
Yeah.
blank with a question mark, so it needs to be updated, for one thing. And summer swim team, I think, was $70 on there, and then fall and winter was $40. They don't swim as much, and the fees are higher in the summer because they use an app. They want to use an app that we're going to try and help them get set up called Swimmingly, I think.
Yeah.
And it's just so that you can register just for this specific sport online. Parents can see, and they can host it in Fillmore, and Juab and Beaver come and participate for the competitive swim team.
And the swim, what's it called? Swimly?
Swimly,
Swimly.
something like that.
This app or software charges a county so much per person to use it that we added an extra $5 on, so the county's not swallowing that additional cost. And so that should be reflected
In that total fee.
in the fee.
Okay. So we have to pay somebody else to charge a fee.
Yeah, the fee is passed along to the
Yeah, but we're
consumer.
passing it along, so we're not paying for it.
I
That's what
understand
just said.
Well, I'll move that we approve the resolution. Did you say it's 25?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. 25-02-18, revised fee schedule for the swim team.
I'll second that motion.
Have a first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Oh,
Yeah.
Roll call vote for resolution 25-02-18 as discussed. Commissioner,
Yes.
Commissioner Lyman,
yes.
Commissioner Dodd.
Yes. Is this all of them?
Yeah. At least so far.
Okay, discussion and possible approval of resolution 25-2-18A, a resolution of Board of County Commissioners of Millard County, Utah, creating a policy for scheduling the commission chambers. We've had some conflicts over the last few months when we've scheduled this, either double booking or
Not booking at all.
not booking at all, or
I would
trying
be guilty of that.
trying to book at 6 o'clock and everybody wants to go home and somebody has to stay here to make sure it's locked up.
That's probably the worst thing.
So
Late booking.
I guess the main question that I have is who we signing up through? I think that's,
So it's currently under the assessor's office, just because of the proximity of this.
okay,
right? We can assign that wherever you want. If you think that it's best here, we can just,
No, we'll just leave it.
just leave it here. We are going to get a formal form that needs to be filled out that can be also attached to the Google Calendar, so that there's an actual process for it getting done, and then give approval for people to view that Google Calendar, so that the elected officials and anybody scheduling can look and see the available dates and times that are there. And so we'll, if this is approved, then we'll move forward and get that form in place and that process in place as well, so.
So Jacob, what is our policy in that, I mean, during the day and during work days, pretty simple, you just look on the calendar and see. So how should we, or how are we gonna handle, like, you have a meeting that has to take place after hours? I mean, open up the building and that, is that gonna be the
So the
elected official
policy-
responsible for that building?
Yeah, so the policy does state that there would be an elected official who would be associated
Who
with
can
that
get in?
meeting.
That's the only ones that can.
Yep, they'll be
The only
responsible.
ones that can get in here is the elected officials?
Somebody will be, I mean, like Richard Beckstrand can, right? But the elected official who would be involved in that meeting afterward would be responsible for the security of the building. So, or the representative from the county, right? I think is how the elected official or the county representative.
So if the elected official had to leave or something, they could say, because the door's automatically locked, so everybody can leave and the doors will be locked.
Sure, we probably don't want people in here without a county representative in here with them.
So somebody needs to
So
stay.
somebody needs to be here, yeah.
So I think some of the issue is, though, is this is a room that is open to the general public,
Sure.
except the hours for general public use is gonna be from 8 to 4:30, from what I understand.
Uh-huh.
After 4:30, it's not open to,
It's got to be you gotta have a sponsor of the meeting.
Yeah, there'll have to be a sponsor of the meeting.
Sponsor of the meeting,
Uh-huh.
and they're responsible to open it up.
For a county agent, maybe the wording is county agent. I can't remember what the wording is.
I was just gonna add, under this paragraph, Millard County official shall include elected official or assigned Millard County representative.
Okay, perfect.
So a simple question, how do you open it up? Put a rock in the door? So
Well-
people can get in? I mean,
No, there's an
or you can
Allen
get your
wrench.
key. and-
Yeah, so the elected official or the representative would open it and then just put the Allen wrench, open the door, right? And then they would be responsible for the security of the building
teach you
afterwards.
something new today, Bill.
Yeah, I got a
I'll
lot to
show you where
learn.
the Allen wrench is.
I admit I got a lot. It's not like that other dumb building, going in and out, the alarm goes off and over to Delta.
Yeah, you gotta
But
type
I
fast.
think most
That's
of our
really
issues come from the
complicated
general
for
public,
me.
though, right?
Yeah.
Wanting to stay late, come at 4:00
Yeah.
and have a meeting that goes into.
Yeah, just
4:30.
there's nobody here representing, and so Laura's office or somebody here has to stay,
Yeah.
with the extension of that time. We're also going to put in here a clause that commission days can't be used, right, by the general public because of this meeting and other meetings associated with this. So, any other
Motion,
questions?
Chairman?
Yeah, I want a motion.
I would move that we approve the resolution 2025-02-18, creating a policy for scheduling the commission chambers.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call.
On the roll call vote on resolution 25-02-18 as discussed. Commissioner Lyman?
Yes.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, discussion and possible approval of resolution 25-2-18B, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County, Utah, creating a gas card policy. This policy pertains to, we each have our own card in our vehicles, and we've just got to be making sure, and part of this policy is making sure we're not passing our PIN out that card, and not specifically the PIN is for that assigned person. Real quick, can I use any card as long as I use my PIN? How does that portion?
Bonnie, does that happen, that people sharing their
The card
pins?
goes with
Okay.
the vehicle, and then the PIN goes with the person, right?
Right, so we have a shared vehicle that we share, like with the clerk's office,
Yeah.
for instance. The card stays with the vehicle, and our PINs are each our own secure PIN, and then it says, like, then the billing comes back to
So
our
you know who
office.
got it
Yeah.
regardless of what
It
vehicle you have
identifies
the vehicle?
who, when, that type of thing.
Has that been happening, I guess?
You know,
Difficult for you to
well,
manage?
it's just not in writing, and it's not difficult, we just don't have a
I
formal
don't think it's really
policy.
been abused or anything. It's
No.
just something we recognized and.
Yeah, there was a state, I don't even know if it was
Was it-
just
yeah.
a recommendation or
Yeah.
a requirement from the
Just a
state that gave us
recommendation.
outlines of what
Somewhere
we
it's
did.
happening and it's.
Yeah,
you know, okay.
and so we just wanted to put a policy in place that reflected that state's requirement of how it should be handled so that everybody was on the same page. So that's what generated that.
So, you know, I kind of thought that was happening, so we just didn't have a policy like
Yeah.
we're following.
Yeah, we just didn't have a formal policy in place, and we thought it was a good idea to document it in formal policy.
Sounds good. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 25-02-18B, a resolution creating a gas card policy.
I second it.
Marquis?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, discussion and possible approval of Resolution 25-2-18C, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County, Utah, amending section, is that 9? I don't know my Roman numerals. 9 or 11, right?
9.
9, right? Okay, I was right. Of Millard County Policies and Procedures Manual by amending language in its merit banding policy. I think, and Jay can clarify me if I'm wrong, one of the things we're wanting to do is go to just a 3% one-time bonus instead of doing the merit banding by doing a grade or a step increase, because that 3% isn't matching up with our step and grade, so it's causing a lot of confusion. But we still want to provide this, bonus if we can, if people are meeting expectations and going above and beyond, we'd still like to reward them. And we feel like this may possibly be the best way of doing it. Is that-
Yeah, so we're gonna leave it, that the maximum would be 3%, and so it doesn't change the dollar amounts. But it serves a couple of internal purposes for us. It's easier for us to manage year-to-year budgetary
Be a lot
control,
less
right?
work.
Yeah, it's less work, but it also allows us to not commit to ongoing funds.
Simplify.
Yeah, and then the banding was creating confusion because somebody would get a band and then they were using language of, oh, now I'm frozen for the next 8 years. It's like, no, you actually were accelerated 4 years, right? And so it almost created more of a negative connotation because they were accelerated their money, right, with the band, but then they weren't going to get a raise for 8 years, but it wasn't that they were frozen, they were actually accelerated on the banding, and so it wasn't really accomplishing the recognition that we were hoping that would have accomplished. And the one-time bonus is, hey, here's a one-time bonus, right? The lens that we see it through, I think, is going to be better. And again, it's the same dollar amount, it's the same possibility. Internally, it doesn't commit us to ongoing funds from year to year, so that if we do have budget restraint, we haven't committed to those ongoing funds. And then it changes just the lens that we're going to articulate that through. So I think a good change overall. So.
Is this still, can they do it any time of the year? We made it so, we complete this, November, December type of a thing.
Yeah, they can do it at any time, but again, still employee-owned, right? The employee has to initiate the process. I'm a huge believer that their professional life is theirs to own, right? And that I'm not responsible for their performance. They are. I'm responsible for my own performance and to account for it. And so all of the wording's going to stay the same. We're just going to take out the banding structure and put in the 3% one-time bonus. But we are going to leave the banding available because there were some of those who, not many, but a handful that are under the banding structure. And so once they band out, then until it changes at your level, it will go straight for everybody to the one-time bonus. But from today moving forward, we're going to do just the one-time bonus with a 3% maximum. So numbers are the same, so.
No further discussion. I'll move, we approve the resolution 25-02-18C, amending the language in merit banding policy.
I'll second that motion.
Markey?
Roll call vote on resolution 25-02-18C as discussed. Commissioner Rea?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, ACES report. Bill Myers and Susan Fernandez, come on up. How are you guys doing today?
Good morning, thank you. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. Project's coming along
Yep.
quite smoothly. Well, I don't know if smoothly, but it looks like it's coming along smoothly. You might have, I know
it's
the
got its
power plant
hiccups.
side of things looks like it's coming on smooth, but if you know internally, it's maybe not quite so smooth, so.
Yeah, we're both at the same stage of starting to start things up and, you know, moving from construction to commissioning is always an adventure.
Yeah, awesome.
We're just going to give us a few seconds here to connect the computer.
Okay.
Good timing.
All right, there we go. Thank you again, Susan Fernandez with ACES Delta. So pleased to be here today to give you an update on the Advanced Clean Energy Storage Project in Delta. We'll give you an overview of the conditional use permit, including the amendment that was recently approved, provide construction updates, go into some safety enhancements that we have included at the site, and then go into what we're doing collaboratively with federal, state, local, and some community organizations.
So just a refresher, I know everybody remembers, but we did come in with an amendment last year. It was our fourth amendment since 2018 when the initial conditional use permit was approved. The next slide was just a summary of what this final amendment, this last amendment did. It did reflected it created our ACES 1 actual construction. Were consistent with the original intent and scope of the CUP. We did, it included project engineering build out. Some of that was just language change. Originally, it was calling things units and really they're buildings or blocks. So we just kind of aligned with some of that.
Can you tell me what, I can't see the color, I can see the colors, I can't, can you go quickly what each of the colors are? What does purple stand for and green?
Yep, so
I can't read the writing side of the color.
that's okay. So we'll start at the top. The pink is the storage cavern field, so that's where the ACES Delta storage caverns are located. The next color, which is kind of a grayish green or mauve or whatever, that's for a future compressed air storage facility. That's where that would be located. The next one down is the darker blue. That's auxiliary utilities and facilities. And then the next one below that's the green hydrogen facility. So that's the ACES one that we're building now is the green in the middle. The next one is the purple is potential solar generation facilities. So that's just the land that we have with SITLA that's aligned with potential solar generation. Then right below that's the darkest blue, that's the brine management, so that's where the brine ponds are. You can see the white, that's the sawtooth brine ponds, the two existing ones. So the rest of that area is where we would build future brine ponds, and the two brine ponds that we just finished building are in that area. And then that one small light blue square is a future potential helium storage facility. And then the red is rail and truck transloading transportation for either salt or liquefied hydrogen, anything else that we would use for sending out on either the rail line, the existing rail, or by truck.
So the brine ponds totally evaporation?
Yeah, right now, the brine ponds,
Can that brine be used? Is there still rare minerals and stuff in there, or basically it has to be that?
nope, it is very good salt. There isn't any other minerals, or people looked whether there's lithium or things like that that can be mined out, there isn't, which
At
actually.
some point in time, there'll be a lot of salt.
Correct, and that's what we're looking at. We've talked to all the major,
Potential to market.
yeah, there's basically 3 really big players in the salt market in the entire US. We're talking to all of them. 2 of them, Morton and Cargill, have facilities up at Salt Lake, Great Salt Lake.
Well, I would think potentially be much better than at Great Salt Lake. They pump the lake in and just evaporate. This salt would probably be a lot more concentrated.
It is at a certain point, right? When we first solution mine, it's not a great saturation point. It needs to, have a little bit of evaporation. The other issue we're coming into is just 2 brine ponds isn't enough for them to build the facilities they need to take the salt and then package it, to take it and put it on pallets to ship it out. The amount of salt we have in these 2 ponds when we're done with these 2 caverns would last them maybe 4 or 5 years. So they're not gonna build a whole facility with only a 5-year run. They said as soon as we get 2 more caverns and we start having the path, right, then they know 20, 30 years of operation, then they're very interested. All of them are very interested.
Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry to.
No, it's an important thing, and it's something we talk about all the time, and that's why we're already talking with them, because this is really high-quality salt. It can be used
Well,
for.
one time we talked about, there's a certain process, and we spend a lot of money for mag chloride on our roads. This is very similar, mag chloride salt. This is very similar, and if we could design a way, there's one more process or something, you would know, I work with, that has to go through to get mag chloride, but the potential for the county is we could have, if we could figure out how to convert that mag, there's one more chemical or something that's not in this, that they add to mag chloride. That
Right.
we don't have you can probably add, that we don't have the potential, if we could probably initiate that or do it, we'd have all the mag chloride we needed here in this county.
Yeah, we'll definitely, we're looking at every.
Something for us to look at and see in the future development if we could do that. Because
Correct.
we have a whole county of dirt roads, and we use a lot of mag.
Yeah, we absolutely want
Probably
to
more than any county.
develop any kind of ancillary businesses or partnerships and things like that that utilize these resources every way we can
Be a
to make
great
it
resource
benefit.
for the county if we could do that.
Do you know what the major salt component is?
It's just the NaCl. There's almost
it
no
is?
other, it's very pure. It can be
Great.
used all the way to restaurant grade, table grade salt. One thing I learned is really the only difference between that salt and the salt you use in your water softener or on roads is they just don't go through as many validations and sampling and testing of it. They don't, it's not at least at the facilities we visited, it's the exact same incoming brine. It's just if they're using it for that, they don't have to do as many safety tests. And if they're going to the other, they add a significant amount of safety portions to the packaging, and obviously that stuff. And then the rejects from those, the clean systems, kind of get used as the next level. So if there is some dirt or stuff, it ends up on your roads or your water softener, not in your tables.
Another question. So to store helium, are you going to mine out a salt cavern for that also?
For which one?
For the helium?
Yeah,
that.
each of those, the compressed air and the helium would have different caverns. Really what we're doing, and whether we're going to be developing caverns for any of those uses, we build them all to hydrogen quality. Because that is it's not a lot of change, but you'd have a little bit of different metallurgy, and then you have to weld everything, because obviously hydrogen's the smallest molecule. But if we build every cavern to that standard, then it can be used for other resources, and it's okay that it's built a little better than it needs to be, right? The helium doesn't have the embrittlement, air obviously doesn't, so that way, once there are 7 or 8 caverns, you could change the use, like if, you look at your next 5 years and there's gonna be more business in helium than there is in compressed air, or vice versa, you can switch them around.
I know helium's starting to get kind of scarce. Do you know where where would they mine the helium at, do you know?
We haven't looked at that helium. We have it on our list, but I'm really busy just building the ones we got right now.
Bill, how many potential caverns do you have? in your
The
property?
area we have and the size of those.
Have you identified them all?
No.
Okay, that's what I'm
It's 75 to 100 we could build of the size we
In the
have.
area you have a
Yeah.
lease on? So how many are there outside those areas?
Well, we believe that that's the majority of the area.
That's the majority, so you've identified the
salt
areas that are-
dome.
There might be some, but you've
Yeah.
identified the areas, have a lease with Sitla that you feel originally is more concentrated than the others. Now-
Correct.
Okay, so 75 to 100, you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
But each of those caverns will store as much gas as the Empire State Building is big, right?
Correct. Yeah, each one's the size of the Empire State Building, holds 55,000 metric tons of hydrogen, equivalent to about 150 gigawatt hours of energy. Then just getting into the details of the facility itself, the conversion facility's at 95% complete. So as I mentioned, we're in the process now of moving from construction to commissioning, which means that's when you start everything up and you find little things here that, oh, that's not connected, that didn't work or it broke, you know, and everything else. So it really slows down. The last 5% will take, you know, the rest of this, most of this year, at least the first 6 months of the year to get to where we're finally operating the facility. And, but we have done the drilling of the 2 caverns. We've finished the first cavern up to 3 million barrels. That's a intermediate point, but it's now tested, and we're in the process of transitioning that from a construction permit to an operating permit with the DWQ, DWRI. So we're working with the state to get that permitted to start storing cavern this year, or start storing hydrogen. We've built the 2 brine ponds a couple years ago. Obviously, we completed the water, brine, power, and communication systems for the facility. We've done the renewable energy delivery power line, so we've connected the 345 kV from the IPP substation to our substation. We've got the operation and maintenance building done, and then we have a small evaporation pond that's just because it's a zero discharge. So any drains, anything that's created or generated as wastewater at the site gets collected in this evaporation pond. So there isn't any connections to any kind of sewers or anything like that. We're still doing the solution mining on the other cavern. That should reach its 4.5 million barrel size by the end of this year, probably August, September timeframe. Finishing up the hydrogen conversion facility, as I mentioned, and then one of the last things we do is obviously site security and finalize site like power poles and things like that and fencing. And then just finish up the roads is the last thing that gets done. One thing that we had occur this year was some, there's a number of different accidents with people coming and going to all the different projects, both to our project and the across the street. One of the incidences was right outside our entrance. Somebody was turning left, somebody was trying to pass all the cars that were waiting to turn left, and there was an accident. So we worked with the county, and we got those lines painted in front of our entrance to double lines, so it's a no passing zone. Prior to that, it was, for one direction, it was legal to pass, so that was a thing that we realized that doesn't make sense right at an entrance point. So we had the double lines painted. We've also put signage in, and then we have lights on those signs from dusk till dawn so people can see. Right now, we're just using, you know, it says truck traffic coming in and off the road, kind of like what you see when people are doing construction, but we just leave them there all the time so people just give something them to be aware that people might be turning off the road there or turning onto the road there. And just to point out, so the work was done. We worked really well with the county, paid the invoice to get the painting done, and that's done a lot to really help the safety of the turnoff at shift changes there.
Are you anticipating someday you may put in turning lanes?
Yeah, I think that was saying, I think the next project, when we advance from this one, we'll probably look at that. We didn't put them in again, when we're up and operating, there will be much less traffic, you know, we'll have 20 people at the facility, and there isn't a lot of deliveries. But I think at our next expansion, we'll look at putting that in. It's a pretty steep ditch on the one side, so it
Yeah.
would take a lot of civil planning, but we'll be looking at that. I'll let Susan cover the next slide.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Yeah, as you know, when you undergo a project like this, we're working with a lot of different groups, and that's always our goal. So when you look at it from a federal perspective, you know, obviously working with the DOE, Department of Energy, and that's ongoing with them, including our state partners such as CITLA, the DWQ, as Bill mentioned, and DWR, and also working with our local county governments here. Thank you. Key safety activities we're maintaining with our team. Of course, we've got our contractors out there, ourselves, including Nays, who's our personnel coordinator and operations. And we work very carefully on establishing protocols for, you know, environment, health, and safety, making sure we're adhering to OSHA requirements, working with, you know, Environmental Protection Agency oversight, and forming our own safety and emergency response plans, and integrating those with our partners out there, our collaborative efforts. And the local governments here with the LEP committee as well. With facility commissioning, as Bill mentioned, all the activities related to that, engaged in developing ACES 1 in a staged approach, and making sure that we're meeting this in time for IPP renewed. The local community engagement, we've had a really good efforts last year and going into this year, working with Snow College, continuing those conversations with how the local workforces can be prepared to assist or look at potential opportunities. And then the K through 12 system, engaging in some of their school activities, school programs, and moving forward into this year with that. And then the MEDA, the Millard County Economic Development Group, keeping them engaged and talking with them about our activities at ACES 1.
Yeah, we should have put a picture up, but our sign was built at the high school in the shop class, so working with them.
Cool.
That was really interesting. They came out and installed it, and then the people that worked on the sign, we gave them a tour of the facility and things. And then we're scheduling a energy day at the school later this spring.
So I think you know this, you know, our media committee is involved quite a bit with giving some scholarships to technical education, post-secondary. And so I appreciate you working with them and Snow College. I think that the more information you can give them on your needs, they will make an attempt to provide programs that will fill your needs, but they gotta know what you really need. I mean, and I use the word attempt because they don't always get done what they're supposed to. But I think if you communicate them what you have, that, and we have, I'm sure you probably have some help, but we have some help with economic development money for students in this county. We'd like to use that, grow these programs. We have a few programs started. We'd really like to grow and be able to provide. I think it's a good opportunity for youth and citizens in our county to be able to participate in these. You have a lot of, you know, really productive technical jobs out there. But, and if we can help in any way in providing them specifically, I think you've done this, but what you need to work with, particularly Becky Callister and them, and if they don't have something that fits, they will make an effort to try to get it so it works for you. So it meets the qualifications you would need, so.
Yeah, and we have been in discussions with them. One of the issues or challenges for us is right now we're still building it. We'll know a lot more, you know, in 6 months. Okay, what does the job take? How often?
I know it's a rocky road forward.
Yeah, but
you need to be aware of that as you go forward, because
yes.
you're in a position you can provide and help train a lot of employment for people in this county.
Yeah, and we,
We'd rather be the provider rather than just accommodating everybody else. We would like to be in a position that we're really a legitimate provider with employees for your project,
we want that also.
rather than you have to go looking someplace else.
Oh, yeah, and actually.
That's in our county's interest.
Of the 20 people that are at our facility right now, they'll be the operating group. I think the final count was 12 out of those 20 were people that were gonna were not moving over from the coal plant to the gas plant and came from IPA. So that, our first group came from existing people, but they know what they're doing, they know shift work, they know all, they like living here, so that's who we want, is that type of people. So we want to help train the next.
County, thank you.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
I don't have any.
Thanks for coming and updating.
No problem.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, discussion with Fillmore City regarding frontage roads in Fillmore and Class C funding.
I don't see anyone from Fillmore here, but I've been working with Adam Britt to try to figure out, and UDOT, the best course forward, and this is probably most appropriately continued to a future meeting anyway.
Do we want it on next week's agenda or wait a little longer?
I think we could put it on there, then take it off if we need to.
Okay.
Public input. Okay, other business. Okay, one thing that I wanted to do in a public setting was just the creation of the MPOA as a organization.
That's underway.
So, yeah, and just so you guys can, we don't want to, you guys do what you want with your money, and this way it's, you guys get to do that, and,
We're expediting that, it's underway.
okay,
We were operating under the understanding that it had already been done, because it's been operating for years.
yeah.
Haven't been able to find any formal documentation of that, so we're correcting that.
No, that's, I've heard you're underway, and I just a discussion in here, so we know, everybody kind of knows what's going on, but yeah, this way, we don't get to tell you what you do with that money, and you guys can do what you want with it, so. We will, and I think you already know, Bonnie's gonna hold on to that until that's created, and then turn the funds over to you.
Makes sense.
Does that work? Bonnie, is there anything else is that all of them that I can remember? Okay. Any other business?
Not for me.
Okay. Surplus property? None.
We will have a couple of sheriff's office trucks that we'll reassign as soon as we get the processing done. We're gonna reassign those to a different department, and then we'll surplus a couple of older trucks.
From the other
So
departments?
that'll be coming, but we're not prepared for that.
Okay. Okay.
While I'm thinking of it, Sheriff, when you guys get these trucks and you take out the console, is it actually a jump seat in all of them?
That varies year to year
Okay,
on what we're able to get. That's part of the pain of this whole process, is not getting identical units every year. The equipment will fit in, console, switchboards will fit in. Sometimes it's a factory console we have to take out.
The last couple of years have had no consoles in the middle, so they've been coming with that empty space.
Oh, so they've been coming that
They've
way?
been coming that way.
Ideally, that's what we get, but sometimes it's luck of the draw.
okay,
Does that
just
answer your
curious.
question?
Yeah, because I keep looking on KSL to get something to put in that truck I use, so I don't have my little pop holder down on the floor and have it tip over, so. Anyway, someday I'm gonna get something to put in there.
What year is it, do you
It's a
remember?
2015 Chevy 2500.
You may reach out to CBR. They may have one of the center consoles.
I asked them, and they said they put them over in the Jeep Posse building, and they've checked there, and there's not any there.
There may be an extra, what we've used is these little box consoles that have had all the radios and equipment in them. There may be some that we can just put in there that could have.
Do they have drink holders?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's my main thing, is
We'll
it?
look at our process.
Okay, great, thank you.
Maybe before, I don't know, I think I failed to bring up, road department bought a new transport trailer. Correct, you probably don't.
Yeah,
Okay, so we wanted to, the trailer he has, we wanted to move to the landfill, because the landfill trailer couldn't haul the heavy stuff like the cats and that. It could haul back on that. So actually it's been borrowed it. So rather than sell it, we'd like to sell the transport trailer that is in the landfill currently, and the landfill will purchase the used trailer from the road department. I'm not sure we've had that discussion before.
I'll talk to Brandon about it also.
So just so that's a process we'd like to use.
Yeah, we need formal action on it, so.
Okay, so do you need a motion? Okay, I would move that that the transport trailer, the used transport trailer that the road department has would be sold to the landfill, and then we would surplus the landfill trailer.
I'll second that motion.
Do you have a designated price?
I can talk to Brandon and find out what he thinks it's worth. He'll have to talk to John, they'll have to agree
I
on the
think,
price.
I don't know, they'd talking it's worth somewhere 25,000, the used one at the road department, and the one that the landfill has is much smaller, it's probably worth 10. So it would be about a $12,000-15,000 cost for the landfill, because we can sell the one we have there. The intention is not keep it. I says, okay, you get that one, we sell the other one. So put that on your radar. It needs to be on and moved out for surplus. We don't need 2 or 3 of them. Okay.
Any other business? Various county boards. Marquis, we don't have any, do we, other than conversation about what to do about the drainage district?
So I don't have any that are up for appointments today. However, I have printed your commission assignments, and those highlighted in yellow are those terms that are expired or will soon expire. So if each of you will keep that in your radar and follow the process to get those terms.
Okay, so real quick, Elise, with the drainage districts, the lady that was keeping track of those has passed away.
Yeah.
And kind of, well, just managing those appointments is no longer with us. How do we go about assigning somebody that role, or what's the steps we need to take to, because I think every drainage district has somebody that did expire in 2024.
Gotcha. It's just finding somebody who can do it. I can reach out to a couple people. I wondered if Todd Anderson would be willing to, because it seems he's helping number 4.
Will you reach out to him and see
I
if
think
he-
they each have a president, or are supposed to be acting, so reach out to them.
So what he's asking us, Commissioner, is the process of appointing those, you have to publish it in the newspaper for 30 days prior to the appointment.
Yeah, I think it's 4 weeks.
Orders need to be prepared, presentation to sign in order to appoint those.
So like, I think Marquis does some of them.
With the process,
So are you saying they all need to be done?
There's one person on each board.
Okay.
I'll find someone.
Yeah, we need someone to tell these, kind of, so they know what to do.
Yeah.
I might
It's really not
report
that
on
part
the-
of a process. I'm sure they could even do it themselves, and I have samples, and we'll figure it out.
Okay.
And maybe that's what we do, is we just say, hey, presidents, this is what you need to do. Here's a sample, put it in the newspaper for 2 weeks, and present us with your recommendations.
Yeah.
We can advertise it for them, can't we?
They are their own financial entity.
Oh,
Yeah, they
so
have
you
their own
want them
tax.
to,
They have to do it.
I don't mind.
We can do it, they need to pay the bill.
Yeah. I assume that's
we can help them, let's help them, but they have tax dollars, they collect dollars, they need to do their own advertising. I think the county can help them because they don't know what to do. There isn't anybody on there that really knows the process.
Yeah, I'm sure if we help them this year, they'll be able to do it going forward.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming if they have, so, because this isn't really our decision, this is theirs, so do we need to call the presidents of each of them and be like, hey, you four need to figure out who you want to basically be your secretary and advertise for this and run that? Is that how I'm understanding it?
That's what they did in the past, isn't it? Didn't they reach out to Leanne?
Yeah, so, and I don't know how Leanne became.
I honestly don't know either.
In contact with them, or if she did it with one associate.
Yeah.
This is a memo that, we sent out last year, kind of interesting. I have to work with police, and get it done for at least this year, and then work with them.
Right.
Doesn't each group have their own secretary also?
They don't function really.
From what I
just don't know. They've
From
been
what it
on
looked
there.
like is they all have one person. They're all on the same schedule. So when there's one person up, there's three others. There's all.
The whole
they're all on
group goes
same
the same?
They're all on the same rotation. If you look, is that it?
Yeah, so.
Or is that
So
one?
I've got the, so, yeah, one from each district is up, and it looks like,
So that's why it's.
Last year.
That's why it comes like.
So
you
now
don't-
you probably got two up, because you got one.
No, you got four up.
no, we only have
Oh.
one.
Okay.
So one from each district expired December 31st.
They're almost every other year, right?
In there, yeah, and then the next one will expire in 26, and then the next one 27. And they're good for 4 years. They each have a supervisor. So at least I can reach out to those supervisors and see what needs to be done. But, yeah, there's just, this is a little bit different than another one. It has to be advertised and then it has to be petitioned for appointment, and then resolutions have to be created for those.
Well, and I think, to me, that's why it makes sense to have, that's why they had the one lady doing it, is because they all came up, so it's not worth it to have all four of them put different ads in the newspaper and just say, hey,
Like I said, I don't mind helping do it. I just don't know
let's,
how Leanne was, how she became doing that. If it was something that was contracted with the district, or if it was something she did as one associates.
Yeah, I'm sure we can figure it out though outside of this meeting.
will you reach out to somebody, Elise? Because I don't know if we want to get stuck doing it, because then we'll be doing it every year. So if we can just, right away, let's find somebody, whether it's Todd or, can you
I'll
ask
call him.
around and just,
That was the bigger process of.
because if we do it this year, then we're going to do it next year and the year after and year after. So if we can find somebody.
I have a report on drainage districts. A week or so ago, Elise was present. We met with several, at least one representative from many drainage districts. Of course, you know, the situation with the impending lawsuit. And they got together and appointed a person to represent them, to contact Mr. Staley and maybe see what, if there's some negotiations they can work out. And I think that's proceeding, so I guess me and Elise isn't, you know, we would suggest that they, at least for my part, and I think Elise agrees, our suggestion was they go to every extent possible to get together and mitigate this problem before we have a lawsuit. That's, am I speaking okay, Elise?
Yeah, I think there's been discussion about them mediating
Yeah.
between themselves, so.
It's moving forward. We don't have no resolution. We're in hope that they can solve the problem and don't attempt to drag everybody else in that problem.
Okay. Deferral of delinquent property tax. Many other discussions. Being elected officials. Okay. BOE. Review of county policies. Okay. Any closed meetings?
No.
Okay, no commission work meeting. So we are
I make a motion to adjourn.
done.
Okay, you're gonna take it to court. Remember, she says I want to do it.
Sure, I can do it.
All right, I just give you a heads up.